Yeah, yeah. Well, my job before used to be delivering newspapers, and it was good. It was a good job, actually. I liked delivering newspapers, and I was probably very good at it. Every Christmas, I'd get Christmas cards from everyone I delivered to, and they'd give me tips too. Like money tips, actual money. So I was always pleased with that. And anyway, in the cards, they'd often write "World's Best Paperboy." World's Best Paperboy. So that was me, the world's best paperboy in the whole world. And I've got it written down on a card. I don't have it here in the podcast studio, but I can assure you that it does exist. Anyway, I thought for our listeners, for my listeners, my wonderful listeners, they will like to get some tips on how to do a newspaper round successfully. So I thought maybe on today, in this podcast episode, anyway, I'm just going to talk about some of the top tips I have for doing newspaper round successfully, which I did for many years. Anyway, then we can go on to the next thing. So, here are my tips. The first tip: I wasn't delivering free newspapers, I was delivering paid newspapers, which people paid for and ordered before they got them. So, every time I'd have a list of all the different newspapers that people wanted, a long list, and it would say which address they had to be delivered to and which newspaper it was. So before I left, I would put them all in the order of the addresses I was going to do, of the newspapers that I was going to deliver them to, and then I put them in the bag, which made it a lot quicker because I never had to look through and reduced the chances of errors. A lot of people like to use a bicycle for the newspaper delivering. I don't think it's so good. I used a scooter because it's easier to ride, it doesn't have gears so you can start and stop quicker, and it's easier to put down, and it's easier to get on, especially when you've got a heavy bag because you just have to stand up. So once I had all the newspapers organised into their order and put into the bag in that order, I would go on the scooter and deliver them like that. And then I would always double check the list because you don't want to get one delivered wrong because that is very, very bad. So those are my top 2 tips. My third tip would just be check it before you put it through the letterbox, and also when you put them in the bag, let me switch back. Imagine that this is the bag and this is the newspaper. Folded. Do you see what I mean? So, and then when it's completely folded, it's like this. Put them this way around into the bag. And a lot of people hate to do it like this. They think the other way is better, but let me tell you, it's not. And then when your fingers are going in, down like this is your arm, your fingers, hook them underneath, and then you can pull upwards and it comes straight out without falling apart. If it's the other way up, then the newspaper will just fall to pieces when you try and lift it out, because often they're not this simple and they have a staple in the top. Sometimes they'll have magazines and stuff inside, so when you take it out, you'll have this part and it'll be full of magazines inside, which isn't good. So those are my tips. Anyway, after the break, we're going to be talking about how to make money online.